Uh, it's my pleasure to welcome not just one of our jury members this year for the main competition here at the 68th Mostra Internazionale d'Arte Cinematografica, but also the director of one of the films we have screened at this special final screening of the Orizzonti program. The film is The Annunciation, and the director is Eija-Liisa Ahtila. And welcome, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know how much after discussing films for 12 days with your colleagues in the jury you feel like to talk about your own, but I hope that we have like a small conversation about it. And so the first question would be about these opening shots. It seems to me that was interesting that to frame a theme and a subject which is universal, like the Annunciation, you choose a landscape and a figure which does so typically Finnish, like Santa Claus even. What was the local, let's say, why this idea of passing through something personal and local, I guess, to get to something universal?
I actually didn't think about it as being very local, because, you know, Santa Claus goes, as I know, every house in in the world. But the idea was like kind of create like a setting, a forest, and then we had the bird, and the birds, the narrator is talking about the bird's world and the different worlds, and then this world of the bird is interrupted by something that actually really doesn't at all belong to that world, which is the Santa Claus. And I thought this as an intro for the theme of kind of miracle, and something that is not. If we think about what miracle could be, it's definitely something that is not very ordinary, which doesn't belong to the world where something is seen as a miracle. It's something extra, different. And this is actually also something that the narrator is speaking about in the narration with the images of the forest.
And could you tell us something about this mix of styles that you choose for the film? Because the whole work is aiming to this extremely controlled, formal composition, which of course is reminding us of the paintings we see, but then maybe we have another question about that. But then you enter the film and the studio, let's say the studio space, with this documentary style, like capturing this meeting of people, the director, the artist, and the performers.
The film itself is really kind of, when we started working with it, I wrote a script, as I usually do, but the difference was that the script was there only as a kind of like a supporting structure. When I started working with the women who actually were kind of, they were, not all of them, but majority of them kind of had previous problems with alcohol or drugs or some other related problems, and working with them and approaching kind of the theme of the Annunciation, I think it was very important to just work with the question that what this could be, and leave that question be without answer as long as possible. And did I answer your question at all?
Yes, and what about the style to tell this? Because the film is shifting at one point, and you bring through this documentary approach, you bring into something that is...
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of documentary, part of it is kind of real documentary, what happened, that we had a certain, like for example, the rehearsing to fly. That is something that we just did there, and shot what she had never tried it. And then some scenes are more like fake documentaries, and then we have the fiction scene in the end where we really kind of try to represent the angel coming into Mary's room, and that set is actually then kind of a modification of several different paintings, and all the paintings are kind of, you must know, like really, really coded that what should be there and what shouldn't, and that, for example, the holy and the earthly can't be in the same space. And in many of the paintings, there's this kind of hint of a wall, even if we don't have a real wall there.
And what about this interest in confronting your work with, let's say, a standard of painting and art which goes centuries back, like the Annunciation? It seems to me very interesting that with using moving images, you still wanted to look at this like a jazz player is playing a standard, but using his own instrument or his own technology. There was something of this idea to look back of one of the most common subject in classic painting. And
I just wanted to know that actually I was going to make a series of photographs of the theme of Christian iconography, but then I ended up working with this one piece with moving image, so far. And I just wanted to know what it could be like if we recreated that situation now. And could you repeat some of the question? I forgot it.
It's about this idea to use your vision and your tools to confront with something that is many artists and.
Then when we started working with the topic, it kind of grew. For example, it became obvious that during the time when these kind of the boom of the Annunciation paintings were created, also the perspective kind of arrived to the paintings. And this is also one theme then there in the kind of the ordering of things and how we see things and how we value things and how we, with perception, how we get information. And then when we started really shooting and I planned the images, this also kind of turning the painting to the moving image requires kind of going through many things, like as an example, what does Mary see? It's not at all relevant in the paintings because, it's the position of the viewer is always kind of outside the painting and it's a kind of scenery that the viewer sees. But when you turn this to the language of film, you end up pretty soon having the question, what does Mary see? And then this also then implies to a lot more, like the character of Mary and the subject in film and a character in general.
And so what part of the film, because it seems, by looking at the film, it seems that you are, there's this process towards this very iconic representation in the end, where finally the Annunciation is portrayed. But then that's not the end. There is this final scene with this donkey comes back, this music. One could expect that this picture of the Annunciation is the final, but then there is something more to it. So
it kind of goes back to the beginning with the animals and the because I see that one of my projects that I'm working with now is the kind of the dramaturgy and the centrality of the human, and kind of the centrality causes this separation of the surroundings. This is a long topic. I could talk a lot about this, but just to mention now that it's the kind of, I'm trying to break that and bring the animals and bring the, and kind of also in the style, like minimizing the drama.
And I've heard that when we announced the screening here at the Sala Perla, amongst your delegation there was also someone who was in charge of the research for the film, if I'm not wrong. Can you tell us about I guess it was a research about iconography of the Annunciation?
Exactly, the images and the texts of this event and in the Bible and outside the Bible and that is what she did.
And it was something that you started for this project, or was a subject that was already interesting you back in the years and that somehow took some time to develop?
No, after I started the project.
I see. Okay, I think it's
That's it.
enough. Yes, thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you.